Hello everyone, this is Stellar Cameraman. Not long ago came out the 33rd episode, which set an absolute record for length and in general for details. In one episode, honestly for me was not clear why Dom Studio decided to cram so many details in one episode. During the analysis and the process of realization of this video, I had a headache, it was very difficult, but I was able to find something that will surprise you. I will note that thanks to exclusive plums, we have previously managed to predict many events that occurred in this episode, for example. We partially guessed this secret character who is actually the most powerful scientist that Dom Studio has ever made. But in addition, and even besides the discussion of the epic battle of the Titans, we will have to reason a lot of important for the future plot of events. For example, these characters that will actually have a very strong impact on the plot itself. By the way, in the parsing, I removed some of the unimportant moments so that the video did not get very long, but do not be afraid that the important I did not miss in any way. Before you start, be sure to give me a like, subscribe to the channel to support me, and we're off to the showdown. The episode starts with the fight of agents with toilets, but in another area, where the cameraman using time-stopping grenades destroys the Skibidi and flies away to an unknown area. Very cool that they also have an invention, a clock man. Then you can see another fight that quickly ends, and in the assembly we again see a team of titans who praise each other, but the moment is spoiled by the unexpected Skibidi, who apparently have not been hit for a long time. In their gathering are Skibidi Skull, Boxer, and One Man. They are generally not very serious. I honestly do not understand what they forgot here, why they even came to fight against the Clock Titan. However, there is a reason, quite a good reason why they are here. A little later, I will tell you more. In the meantime, the cameraman Titan tells Clock to stop time and destroy them, but he shows with his fingers that this will not work. He can take at most one. Perhaps he realizes the seriousness of this battle and does not want to waste his energy. But TV Titan saying, "I will do everything myself," goes to one of the Skibidi. But the one like a boxing master begins to strike him. But apparently with the technique he is so bad after the Chimera Titan goes to fight with Skibidi Vulcan not badly damages him and immediately the frame changes to TV Titan. That's why in the process, I almost went crazy. Everything happened so fast that I do not know what to make out. It will not dwell on each movement. Without the help of a clock they managed to destroy all three Skibidi. But because of the Skibidi Skull Camera Titan's gun breaks. But do not forget that with us, Clock Titan, he is like a bachka, solves all problems. After recovering the arm of the Camera Titan, someone crashed into them and started to fly very fast near them, trying to hurt them somehow. Clock decided to slow down time, but at first even that didn't help him. However, after a couple of attempts, he caught the bully and hit his shield. A little later, it turned out to be an Astro tool. And I'm starting to like the fact that the Skibidi are working on themselves and starting to figure out a way to defeat a Clock Titan. Later, when there's a scene in the Skibidi labs, we'll talk about their abilities and what they're planning, because what we're watching now is happening after the scientists and other Skibidi talk in the labs, which we'll discuss later. Well, what about this Skull Astro Toilet? In ability and in view, it reminds me of the Astro Juggernaut from the original series. He has a similar shield well and look almost the same. Probably this Astro Skull. Very strong if you judge by the speed. He is the only character who was able to somehow not to bring comfort to Clock Titan in the first after his improvement. Specifically in battle, we will see him in the next 34 episode. Now, in this episode, he's suddenly activating missiles, sliding the ground, where the hatches opened and began to climb out missiles that are ready to destroy everything around, and at this point went attempts to harm the Astro Skull from Clock Titan and from TV Titan. However, all without success, he was able to defend himself, and not even a bit hurt, then climb inside the Earth. In the meantime, the alarm sounded, and a huge number of missiles came out of the ground. However, Clock Titan was ready even for this case, and after spending a lot of energy, he rewound the time and stopped it to avoid the missiles launching. After a little thinking, he teleported his sword to himself, cut a huge circle in which there are missiles and stopped the time for this particular area so that the missiles could not take off. But at the same time, he cannot move because he holds this dome and huge energy. Meanwhile, the surrounding world appeared, including Titans and Astro Skull who were fighting. Astro saw the dome where the missiles are and stepped back, and black smoke appeared behind him, from which the scientist emerged, or rather his huge and terrifying robot, with the help of which he can easily defeat the Titans, at least Titan's camera and Titan's TV, and the fact that Clock holds the dome was their evil plan, because look at the scientist, how calm and even happy he is, because he knew that Clock will create a dome and will hold it. Besides, a little later, after their conversation in the labs, Skibidi, I will prove that it was exactly their plan. And if you think logically, the scientist is not so stupid to come to fight Clock Titan, knowing that he is the strongest character in their universe. To make it clearer to you, if Clock lets go of that dome, everything in the immediate radius could just vaporize, because there's a lot of energy lost, and besides, he'll let the Skibidi launch missiles. So if he can't fight, his friends will be defeated by the scientist. If it comes to a fight, which it probably will, the Titans don't stand a chance, given the power of the scientist. With the Astro Skull and our Titans, it's unlikely they can defeat them. But I don't think there should be a Titan speaker, or another Titan anytime soon, who will try to save them, because it would be too much. Only recently Clock Titan appeared, about what will happen to the Titans. I have a not very pleasant theory, as the fight is inevitable. At any rate, one of the Titans will die, or will be brought to a terrible state. Although knowing Dom Studio and knowing their plot twists, we can't say anything for sure. Already in the 34th episode, everything will be clear. Maybe Clock decided to let go of the dome and blow up the whole place. Meanwhile, the scene finally changes, and you can see a Skibidi agent who meets a robot scientist. Note that this event takes place 10 hours before their fight. That is the previous scene. From the robot, take out a container. Then from there comes out a real little scientist, after which they consider the mutants that are being developed and even turned into zombies. For the G-Man apocalypse, thanks to exclusive plums, we have previously dismantled and studied these characters, but did not know that they will be complicit in the apocalypse. In fact, it's very powerful, only these mutants are ready for a lot. As I said in the video about exclusive plums, the army of Skibidi is getting stronger and stronger. After that, the scientist and the guard go to another room and wait for someone, namely the same character, which we also dismantled in the previous video. As I said before, we managed to predict a lot of events, including this character, who is an engineer and a colleague of the scientist we already know, and even a lot higher in position. That is, he is the one who is specifically engaged in the development of characters and in general devices for Skibidi. A little later, you will see it. Then they started talking. But as I have said many times, let's not dwell on every word so we don't stay here too long. The engineer said he was glad to see a living scientist, and the scientist said something in the Skibidi language, and interestingly, he understands it. But looking at him, you would think he was just a man who was put in a toilet. He must have been a brilliant scientist who was taken over by the toilets and made one of his own. But the scientist is not really satisfied and tells him what about our developments. In response, he says that not everything is ready yet, but some of them are about to wake up, about a few hours, but some of them he can already show. After that, they went to the room in which just are their inventions. One of them has already woken up, whose name is Leo, who, by the way, while being a toilet, does not understand their Skibidi language, and tells the scientist why he still communicates in this language, because he knows English. What is quite interesting, they know each other for a long time, before these characters that we will now see fell asleep. Meanwhile, the engineer starts the dome in which these characters are. I agree. Their design is incredible themselves. They are also 100% strong. But as for me, they are not very go to Skibidi Toilet style, as if it is already some anime. But still, it is not so important. Just as for me, they could be done a little bit differently. One of them asks how long it's been, and I really like this particular character. His style and everything is very cool. He's quite serious, and most likely the most skillful and strongest of their cast, except for a certain commander who we'll see a little later. And when asked how long it's been, the engineer answers quite a long time ago, and the war is going on one place and we're losing, but he'll tell us more details on the way. The beautiful lady asks when the commander woke up, and it turns out that the commander was the first person who woke up participating in the evolution. Not quite understand exactly what evolution was, but I think soon we will be clearer. Also, it turns out that they know about Clock Titan. I would even say, most of all, they pay attention to it. Well, it is understandable. It is for them the strongest enemy, which is confirmed by the engineer himself, answering the question, what is the plan to destroy it, that they will not be able to kill him. In response, the masked tough guy pushes him against the wall and says, "Then what's the point of your existence? And what was he doing all this time?" The dude is too sure of himself for some reason. Maybe he hasn't seen the new Clock Titan yet. That's why he talks so much. However, even in this case, the engineer has a plan that is already underway. The thing is that according to their plan, the aliens win this battle and they win the whole war. And their job is not to destroy Clock Titan, but to lock him in place. As we know, this scene was before the battle we saw in the beginning, and just their plan was to make Clock Titan stand still and hold the dome. Honestly, this is very, very, very brilliant. Having a worse army, they decided to outsmart them. They need to hold the Clock Titan in place until the G-Man apocalypse is ready. Then they can win the war. Because the G-Man apocalypse is only a short time away, about 5 hours from the current battle. I'll never get tired of saying how brilliant this is. I think their plan will come to fruition, but Allianz has a surprise for them anyway. At this time, Leo says that these Watchers make no sense, and they are AI. But is it so? This fact is denied by the engineer himself, saying that even mankind could not reach such a power to transfer it to the AI. In fact, I am shocked by the information received. That is, he says about mankind. So, aliens are created by mankind, and even they can be people who were turned into camera heads and other representatives of aliens. Man, actually, before this episode, I expected that we will get answers to most of the questions, but after this episode, I have even more questions. Hopefully soon we will understand everything much more detailed and clearer. Meanwhile, the big guy got angry as soon as he heard about the Pencil Men. I guess he had to fight with them earlier, and the Pencil Men managed to damage him. A little later, the engineer said that they will choose the roles for the final battle, and then we were shown their commander, who is supposedly the strongest of them, but you know, there are many more like him. On it, you can see the number 7, which may say that their squad is the 7th squad, and such squads at least 6 more. Maybe it's not exact, but all the facts and information lead to this result. Of course, it was necessary to cram so many details into the episode. Specifically, my head is exploding. I hope Dom Studio will not decide to make such a cool gift again, or I will hardly take it out again. I'm kidding, of course, but as for me to make episodes shorter is a better idea. But I think we still benefited from this episode. Soon probably Dom Studio will give us exclusive plums, with which I will make a new video. So be sure to put a like as much as possible. Subscribe to the channel, and I'm off. Everyone, bye.